Are you Gonza, or are you just coming up on stage to sit here?
Alright. So, here's my story. I'm a serial dater. I will date anybody as long as I date. And I decided that the story that I want to tell is about, like, I went on a really bad date like 2 years ago. Maybe it was more than 2 years ago because I'm not, you know, I say I'm 21, but, you know, I'm not. Anyway, so I went on a really bad date when I was 19, right? There was this guy, he'd been asking me to go on a date with him, whatever. We were like kind of, well, maybe I was younger than that. We were kind of in high school or whatever, I don't know. But anyways, he's asking me on this date or whatever, and I'm like, no, I won't go, because he looked kind of like my brother. He was like really black, and he had a big forehead just like my own, so it was like really bad. So we decided that we're going to go to, he told me he was going to take me to a movie. So I said, okay, that'll be great, we're going to go to movies. So he comes to he tells me I'm coming to your house. So I'm okay, great. So he's coming to my house, and I walk out of my house, just randomly, and I see him harassing the Jamaican guy across the street who has long dreadlocks, and I had like little dread baby. You know, I had something going on in my head at the time. I don't really know what it was, but it looked a lot like a dreadlock. And the guy comes up was asking the neighbor, like, "Where's your daughter at?" Because he thought that was my father, and I'm like, "Oh, that's not my dad. That's my neighbor." So he comes across the street, and he picks me up in a two-door Dodge Neon or whatever. And I was like, okay, whatever. It doesn't make a difference because I drive a Subaru, and I think people who drive Subarus really have no commentary on what other people are driving. And so he picks me up, and we're driving along in the little Dodge Neon. And he tells me about how he has a lot of money, and him and his sister saved up to buy a Dodge Neon. And I think to myself, you know, like, that's kind of sad if two people have to come together and go to die. But I was willing to accept him because I wanted a free meal. So we're going, and he says, the one thing is that since me and my sister share a car, I actually have to go by my sister's job to pick her up from work and then take her back to the house. So we go by his sister's job, we pick her up from work, and then I have to get into the backseat of the car. While I'm sitting in the backseat of the car, his sister then introduces, she says, "Who's that bitch in the back of the car?" And I then say to her that I'm not really a bitch, as if I'm not really a bitch, I'm like I'm a hoe or something, you know. So I'm like, no, I was like, I'm not a bitch, I'm Gonza, you know. And then she was like, you're a bitch to me. And I thought about it, and I started to get angry, but then I realized like she was way bigger than I was. So I was like, oh God, like I really can't defend myself. So I said, how about we go back home and we pick up my Subaru? So the three of us go back to my house to pick up my Subaru. Then I follow him to his house where he drops off his Dodge Neon, and me and him tread along in the Subaru. So first place we go is 7-Eleven. We go to 7-Eleven because in high school 7-Eleven is a wonderful place to go because you can get a Slurpee and you can get chips, and that's like really big. It's a big thing to me. Or at least it was at the time. Okay, it's still is. But anyway, we get chips and we get the Slurpee. We get to the cash register, and he's saying that he does not have money to pay for the Slurpee. And I was like, oh my goodness, like that's the whole reason I came out on the date, was to get a free meal. So then we get out of there, I put $1 on his Slurpee with his chips or whatever, and then, you know, I put $2 on my Slurpee and chips. And then our next thing is we go to the barber shop. And I'm like, why are we going to the barber shop? He was like, because I was gambling the other day, and I owe somebody some money. So we go to the barber shop, where he then pays somebody $50, and then me and him get into an argument in the car over how the hell do you have $50 to play a gambling bet? But I just paid half on your Slurpee. I'm like really pissed about it, because I was like, I left my house for a free meal. So then the next place that we go is to the movies, where we then go to see the Blair Witch Project, which kind of dates me. But really, I am 22. But anyway, so we go to see the Blair Witch Project, and we're sitting there, and we're trying to watch the movie or whatever, and then I gotta go back. Before we start trying to watch the movie, we get to the cash register, because this is like a famous place for me and him. And we're at the cash register. He said, because I just paid the $50 for the gambling debt, I don't have enough money to watch the movie, so I want you to pay your $6 plus 2 of my $6, because all I have is $4. And I was like, why the hell would you leave your house with $4? My dad wouldn't do that. My brother wouldn't do that. My brother's a real loser, but he leaves the house with $10. And something couldn't figure out. So I paid his $4, I paid my $6, and we all go to watch the movie, which also dates me because movies are no longer $6. But so anyway, so we're sitting there watching the movie. He starts cursing out the screen. He was like, "Why is the movie shaking?" To this day, I still haven't watched the movie. He's like, "The movie's like, the screen is shaking." He's like, "Oh, hell no, why is the movie?" He starts cursing out. I was like, "Oh my God, this is so embarrassing." But I don't know if you know this, because maybe you're not as cheap as I am, but there's a 30-minute rule at the movie theater, and if you walk out of the movie within 30 minutes, you get all your money back. So I was like, "Oh, hell no." So we go. It's 20? Oh, well, I do 30, because after 20 minutes, I just curse them out until they give me my money back. I don't, actually, I do an hour and 20-minute rule, too. Anyway, so we go back to the register, he gives me, and they're trying to give us back our money and everything, and then he starts cursing out the guy at the register. I'm like, he has nothing to do with the movie. He gets minimum wage, he has nothing to do with the movie, and there's no reason for it. And then he goes and puts his money in the pot. I was like, "That's not your fucking money." I was like, "You owe me for the movie, you owe me for your Slurpee, and you owe me for a bag of chips." So I get all of my money or whatever. And then I'm talking to him. But actually, before we were about to leave the movie, I had a conversation with him about how, because we were now in my Subaru, he had an option between whether or not he wanted to call his sister for a ride home, or he wanted to just let me walk out on him, because that was back when I was nice, because now I walk out on dates all the time, especially if I don't get a free meal. So anyway. So we then go, and we're walking out or whatever, and he's like, and I then decided, I was like, you know what? He says, "So where are we gonna go next?" I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I really thought I was gonna just drive him up the street and drop him off, like near my brother's job, because I figured my brother would come out and like beat his ass or something. But I was like, that would be really cruel. So I take him back to his house or whatever, and I drop him off, and then I like drive away into the sunset, hoping that he'll never call me again. But then he continues to call my family, and I told my family, I was like, I went on a really bad date, you know, and I paid for my Slurpee, and my dad's African, so he was really mad, because he was like, you know, my mother hasn't even paid the light bill, like, ever in her life. She doesn't even know what electricity costs, and you had to pay for your Slurpee. He was really angry. So my mother then told him that we all, as a family, went back to Africa. So that's my story.